Aadiriis.
Making a note.
Even among all your siblings in Middle Avest, this woman is remarkably beautiful. Clad in a robe of myriad colors, she carries herself with a distinct grace and ease. Her skin is dark brown, her hair is rippling a midnight black. Her violet eyes blaze momentarily as you approach, and she holds up her hand. Her voice is musical and sweet.
You are most welcome here, brother. I am Aadiriis. I am the peacekeeper of Miel Abyss. Word of your birth and exploits has reached us here already. News travels fast in the cast-off world, so I'm sure you've already seen. I know your desire to speak to Mazzof. I've even heard a rumor that you can alter the past, that you restored Matkina. This is strange to me, for I have two memories of the subject. One in which Matkina is whole, as we all know her, and another in which her mind is incomplete. Perhaps my mind is the one that's incomplete. I do have a mirrorcaster here in which Mazzof is said to appear, but he is a friend to me, as are all our family, eventually, and I do not wish to expose him to danger.
She shakes her head and smiles slightly.
I must apologize. I do not mean to be rude, but if there is any chance it is true, I have some limited psychic ability. If you will permit me, I would examine your mind to get to the truth of the rumors about your powers.
Let me ask you a few other questions first.
Of course, you must have many.
Okay. My companion Aadiriis has demons in his mind. Do you know of any healers that can help him? Her gaze moves to Aadiriis. Oddly, Aadiriis is silent, sober, and looking at you. Aadiriis turns back to you.
No, the only cast-off healers I know are elsewhere, tending to those who can actually be injured. My apologies.
Where exactly is Mazzof?
You mean physically? That I do not know. He was captured by the Gibra of Marajolio several years ago, a prisoner of their menagerie, but no one knows what became of him afterward. The Mirrorcaster is your best hope of finding him, but I cannot let you access it until I know the true extent of your abilities.
What is that creepy pyramidal structure on the opposite side of the plateau? She gazes in the direction you're pointing.
Ah, the Feretory.
It's unclear whether she is saying the name with reverence or disgust.
That has been here for as long as anyone can remember, though not perhaps when Miel Aves was originally founded. What is known is that the first placed it there. That is not known is why. Rumors abound, of course, but as no one knows how to activate or open it, none can be proven.
So what do people think it is?
Of the predictable legends, an escape pod of some kind, a final defense against the sorrow should it break through, a repository of the first treasures. I heard one person suggest that the first herself was still alive, reserved inside, and that she would return when we needed her most.
Her smirk shows that what she thinks of the last rumor.
It's clear that it's a protection of some kind, but whether it's to protect us or what's inside it remains to be seen.
I'd like to ask some questions about, well, cast-offs and all that entails.
Oh, of course.
Tell me of the cast-offs here. She spreads her hands in regret.
Ordinarily we see more activity here, and we would perhaps have prepared a homecoming for you. But rumor has convinced many that the sorrow has been more active of late. To ease their minds, I offered a vote to close the portals into the sanctuary. But I digress. The current quests include the Chalcedon, Lady Anshi, Elkishai, Andronus, Rima, and Melmoth. I suppose you just missed my friend Parth. The Chalcedon commands the Creator's forces in the endless battle. He is a true believer, a tightly wound man but brilliant. Lady Anshi brings her trinkets from all over her mercantile empire. Paul Elkashai has been badly treated by the world. Perhaps you could have a word or two with him. Andronus is... well, his best quality is that he is loyal to Paj. Perhaps I should say to the memory of the first. But he is also volatile and argumentative, and he has devoted his centuries to fighting. You'll likely find him sparring verbally with Rima, whose devotion to the ideals of our sire is equal of his.
She smiles a bit.
And then my friend Melmoth, the leader of the Dendra Horde. He's, well, he's quite a charmer. Speak to him, you'll see.
Can you tell me of the cast-offs who aren't here? A small frown crosses her mouth, a minute wrinkle in her brow.
Our Creator chose to live a bountiful life, and he has brought hundreds into the world. He has explored many forms, shapes, and sizes, and he has led some of our kin through time-twisting loops. I do not know all their names, but I hope that I might one day befriend them, even those who have been twisted into savagery. Even if I knew them all, I would not divulge their secrets, just as I would not divulge yours.
What can you tell me about the sorrow?
I know little, nothing about where it came from, nor its purpose, nor its true desires, apart from seeing us all dead.
She closes her eyes.
None of us do, though. Some of us have devoted centuries to trying to understand it. Indeed, the creation of Mil Avest was intended for that purpose. But the first and the changing god grew complacent, and then they grew possessive, and then the endless battle. Sometimes I feel that the sorrow must hunt us because so many of us are so very disagreeable. But in truth, I believe the sorrow hunts us because of something to do with the tides. Our unique power tied to the tides must summon it. I have not seen the sorrow track other living beings, nor heard of it in any context of the cast-off situation. It must be the tides. It must.
Well, not necessarily, but tied to the cast-off, certainly. Tell me about Mil Avest.
The name comes from a language predating our Creator. It means Stone of Wonders. He and the first cast-off first created our sanctuary jointly, siting it on this plateau because this device they found here proved uniquely suited to creating a sanctuary and to power the shields that protect us. They brought more of us here. Our elders hid from the sorrow, or retreated here from the cares of the world. They built homes, laboratories, and more. The shields protected them from the sorrow's gaze, but when the first and the changing gods struggled, all that fell apart. The peace of Mil Avest was shattered, and those who remained chose sides. Blood spilled on the great disk. Factions fought for control of the wisdom gained here.
She shakes her head.
Such a waste. It was not until after the first death and my arrival that we were able to re-secure peace. And so we once again have a sanctuary for any cast-off, and their occasional quests. Would that we had not closed the doorways, though. Whether the sorrow is truly more active or not, there are undoubtedly others who would wish to find safety here. She shakes her head. I accept the responsibility for the closure. Those who chose to leave have left, and I wish to the rest safety.
I honestly do think that I have endangered everyone here, and I endanger everyone wherever I go, simply because a fragment of the shadow is still with me. So I think the shadow can basically track me wherever I go, no matter what the defense is. At the same time, it's a pointless thing to sort of berate the player or his character for it, because it's not like you have a choice. You have the choice of not playing the game or just doing this. So there's no real choice. Tell me about the first cast off.
She died a few years after I was born. A pity. I wish I could have spoken with her to understand her drive and passion. She honestly thought she would serve us all, and sometimes I ask myself what she might do in a situation when two of our brothers are fighting. And then I remember that so many of them have died fighting in her war, and my respect vanishes. I would have loved to speak with her, help her find another way. Alas.
Anything more?
She was driven, ambitious, and strong, and she cared deeply for all of us, but her hatred obscured her bonds between us, and she drove us into war.
What do you think of the changing god? Have you seen him? Do you know where he is?
That's quite a list. Which would you prefer to address first?
Have you seen him recently?
Never, to my knowledge. Perhaps I have and he never revealed himself. It would be very like him to gather his intelligence and then be away. We regard every new cast off with the suspicion that he or she might truly be our creator. Frequently a new cast off will pretend to be. But we find the truth, one way or another, and our sire continues to live in a way that we do not fully understand.
Okay, to be clear, you really haven't seen the changing god recently.
I do not believe so, no.
What do you think of him?
A brilliant man, thoughtful, charismatic, a mind greater than any of the Ninth World has seen. Where the Aeon priests of today cobble together bits and pieces of Numenera, our creator was a visionary. Were it not for the sorrow, I honestly believe that he would lift us into a new age of human achievement.
She shrugs.
He has also systematically destroyed every relationship he ever built. He does not seem to understand human frailty or emotion. No, let me rephrase that. He understands those things well enough to exploit them in others, but does not accept their reality, if you understand what I mean. More plainly, he is a selfish man who grows ever more disconnected with his inferiors every year.
She purses her lips.
His life is a tragedy, it truly is.
What do you know of his history?
Much of it he has deliberately obscured, and much he has rewritten, either to make himself seem a better man, or to keep his enemies from finding him. I can provide you with with the broad strokes if you wish. He saved the city of Sagus Cliffs from the Tabath, and it was after their siege that he focused so heavily on mental transference techniques, though we do not know why. He was successful in his attempts, obviously, and this is the first record we have of the sorrows in modern times, okay?
So after the Tabath thing, and I think the ghostly woman was tried to preserve because of the consequence of the Tabath war. She remembered the flames and the fighting. So that could have been the origin of the changing god, I suppose. and immediately the first sighting of sorrow at the same time. It all goes back to it somehow. Well, at least everything, that's the earliest thing everyone knows about things. She taps her fingers on her lips.
He traveled to another world or dimension, and I have heard that this is where the first was born.
Okay, so definitely. Maybe that's why I have no recollection of that. Or it didn't feel like I was looking at a previous cast-off, because it wasn't a cast-off at that point at all. He was still just a person like any other.
His studies in the tides ran deep. He claimed to have spent lifetimes exploring them, and when he had mastered them, he destroyed the Tabath utterly. He brought the order of truth to Zega's cliffs, and sought to keep knowledge alive by creating the Dendra horde. His life has been about the creation or preservation of wisdom.
She shakes her head.
But to what end? There seems to be no pattern or goal. He does not seem to build for humanity, but for his own legacy. Should we emulate this?
Okay, other questions. Tell me about yourself.
I give the peace here in Mil Abyss. Our sire brought the jagged dream to Sega's cliffs, in my body. Did you know that?
She shakes her head.
The conflict they seek to start, the wars. I swore that I would make no deaths in my lifetime, bring no pain. I came here in the wake of the first death, and her loyalists were at the throats of our sires. I brought peace to them. They agreed we would make Mil Abyss a sanctuary again. This is my achievement, my legacy.
Why would you feel guilty about our sire bringing the jagged dream to Sega's cliffs? It wasn't you.
True, and yet the jagged dream knew me under a name and a history that wasn't my own. The killers, the haters, the ones who wanted to see blood and death, they would tell me of their schemes. They wanted my approval, and any action on my part they took as such.
She stares down at her hands.
I have never taken a life, but blood stains me. I can't feel that again, ever.
I wonder if that's a theme with the changing god too. I mean, Inifir. That similarly to like the Endless Gate followers to Inifir, to the changing god, the cast-offs are in a similar manner. I mean, he doesn't necessarily give two shits about that. I mean, they're emulating and doing things in his name that he never has any interest in doing. And he can't really even stop that anymore. It's out of his control. Who put you in charge of Mil Abyss?
Why, no one did. I saw the need and forged the peace myself. I saw a path to avoid the bloodshed, and I set my feet upon it. With my end goal in mind, those who would oppose me saw that I had set my ideals and would not deviate from them. And since my plan did not involve exalting myself over them, did not put them at a disadvantage, who could say no? Indeed, I'm in charge only insofar as they allow it. They are the ones who enforce the peace. I just speak of it.
Okay. I suppose I'm ready to let you probe my mind.
This will take but a moment.
She places gentle fingers on your forehead and you feel a swirl of color thrill your innermost core. A kaleidoscope of emotion shakes you. A gamut of experiences recognized and echoed, magnified and reflected. When she removes her hand, her eyes are wet with tears.
Forgive my doubt, brother. I believe you now. I believe you are capable of changing reality.
I'll remember that.
But if anything, this makes me more leery of handing you a brother's Mircaster. If you wish to speak to Mazzof, you must prove to me that you can be trusted with the minds of one of our brethren. You cured Metkina, but did you understand Tash? Did you take care of his innermost self as well? Before I can give you this Mircaster, I would have you speak with Melmoth Leviarm.
I know you're busy, but could we talk?
It is my contention that we draw the sorrow to us with our abuse of the tides, which is why I do not use our tidal powers. I believe our use of these powers is inherently painful to those around us. For instance, was anyone with you when you awoke to consciousness?
Two people, an Aeon priest named Allegern and a Nano named Callistich. They were arguing as I awoke.
I'd wager any simmering tension snapped into sharp focus. If they were lovers, for example, they might have fallen deep in love spell, but if they were breaking apart, your blast of tidal energy would have riven them, destroyed their relationship.
She pauses and you feel the tickle of her mind on yours.
That's what happened, isn't it? They were not arguing for nothing. Go see Melmoth. Ask him about the tides. When you've done that, we will speak further.
As you wish. I do accept the fact that the using of tides affects others, but I think I'm also affecting myself in using them. I'm not sure if that's what sorrow is attracted to, but it is somehow central to what's going on.
What was Aadiriis talking about? The tides, I mean. Tides are a thing an ocean has, not a person. What did she mean?
The tides are an invisible force. My body uses them to stay alive, among other things.
Other things, like hurting people.
You're thinking about what Tali used to do to you, aren't you? She nods, her lips a tight line.
The woman who stole me, Tal, used to do that to me. She said it helped her, that she'd kill a grown-up if she couldn't use me.
She brings a hand to her mouth.
She hurt me, made me feel sick, sad, and dying. I wanted to die a lot. That's why I ran away. I know it's none of my business, and I probably won't even know if you do it, but promise me you won't hurt anybody like that, ever. I just can't.
She can't even, apparently. Okay. I won't promise that. I don't want to make promise. At the same time, I don't want to lie to her. I won't do it unless it's absolutely necessary. Like to save your life, for example. She nods, her face serious.
That makes sense. I'll accept that.
So, how are you holding up? Can I ask about something new? No. Glad we had this talk.
Absolutely.
Oh god, you've come back to bedevil me again. Okay. Aadiriis told me to come speak to you about the tides. You'll find none better equipped to answer the question, certainly. The tides are an inextricable part of us, and he snaps a clamp on one of the attachments on a tube. Wait, she sent you to me? He peers closely at you. Interesting. Every time I talk about the tides, she argues with me, as if she'd spend a fraction of the time I have studying them. She probably said that we bring pain through our existence. Let me enlighten you. Everyone brings pain to others. I have experienced so many lives in memories, and one of the common threads in all of them is pain. Do we hurt other people? We do. But how do we differ from any mortal in this regard? Show me someone without pain, and I will show you a corpse. He winks, and then I'll eat it.
I'll remember that.
We are imperfect, we leak tides, or absorb them, or both. Our powers impinge on the minds of others, upon their nervous systems, if you prefer. We draw strength from them, we change them in the process, and not usually for the better. This is regrettable but unavoidable. Aadiriis might have said that the sorrow is hunting us because we abuse the tides or some such nonsense, but if that's the case, we're doomed by the nature of our existence. If true, why not use the powers we have? Aadiriis thinks that a tidal surge on my birth was responsible for a devastating argument between two humans. Entirely possible. The tides are a psychic force, and when we're born, our minds snap into a particular shape and force out the residue. An unprotected mind nearby might well absorb some of that energy and react in unpredictable ways, but what of it? Does this change anything in your life? Two mortals had an argument? Oh no! Hoo-hoo! How do you know so much about the tides? He sighs, exasperated, and holds up his bony hand, folding his fingers back as he counts. 1. I am hundreds of years old. I can devote this kind of time. 2. I am dedicated to knowledge. 3. I will do anything in its pursuit. 4. I learned to draw memories from dead people. 5. I sought the dead who could teach me about the tides. He lowers his fist. Follow that trail of thought, you'll find me at the end. That's how I know. And why do I do this, do you think? Let me tell you, since you clearly wanted to ask. It's because the changing man thought the tides were important. He uses the tides to shape us. Do you want to know more about how you were created? I did, and so I researched the tides. The reason for this is that I am not an idiot unlike so many of our siblings. So why do you think the sorrow pursues us? He waves a finger at you. I don't waste my time worrying about it, like worrying about the death of the cosmos. It'll come sooner or later. You want supposition? Here's a list. Because of our mad creator, vengeance, sheer bloody-mindedness, maybe it loves the tides, or loathes them. Could be it hates what we're doing with the tides. But if you talk to Aadiriis, say, you'll find she never uses hers. I use mine all the time, yet the sorrow would destroy us both. He adjusts one of the tubes in his outfit. I worry more about the deaths of others and how I might gain some of their knowledge, not about the first death vendetta nor our creator's desire to kill us, nor certainly not an unstoppable monster from the past. What did you mean when you said the tides were an inextricable part of us? Did you think that you could come back from the dead because you were born lucky? Our bodies require tidal energy. Cut us off from that energy and we dissolve. It's the way we're structured, the way our sire created us. He invented a mental matrix and imposed it on the bodies he grew. I surmise that this matrix is what allows his consciousness to transfer and what allows the tidal energy to permeate our forms. Without it, he grins and pulls his hands apart. Sploosh. But we have the advantage of being able to draw on this power for our own uses. He constructed each of us along different lines, and because of that the patterns that hold us are different. Is it any wonder that we should be able to channel this into tidal surges? What are the tides anyway? Where did they come from? You know, they're a psychic energy field. They pervade the greater Saker's protectorate, but the pockets of tidal activity are localized in the ninth world. That suggests that though they're a natural force, they're also artificially induced. Civilizations have risen around their use, and civilizations have fallen. Odd thing, I haven't sought to decipher the accounts of those times, but the creatures that made them are strange. The sorrow shows up in images and sounds and spectra I can barely understand. That's why I sought a better method. You get the occasional disease, a strong mind that doesn't want to share its memories with you, but everyone wants to be remembered. Talk to the voices long enough and they realize you're their only true heir. Anything more about the history of the tides? Maybe if you eat my corpse when I'm dead, you can learn some of what I know. The knowledge I have, too much for the spoken word. So what good was it then?
I'm ready.
Well, I talked to the man.
Have you spoken with Melmoth then? What did he say?
He said that the tides are within us all and that we should use our powers as necessary. She laughed.
I imagine he called me a fool and worse. He has done more research into the tides than anyone else here in Mil Abyss. Tell me, did he say anything else?
He said we all use the tides all the time. She shakes her head.
If we do, it is purely unconscious, for I have never used them intentionally. At any rate, I sent you to speak with Melmoth. Do you believe that he has conducted his studies with anything but his own power in mind?
He seems to care deeply for the preservation of knowledge. But he wasn't willing to share it with me though.
So he says, and he has certainly gone to great lengths to do so. I don't believe in his position nor his conclusions, for he may well have inflated the results to justify his actions. But he refuses my mind's touch, and he rebuffs my attempts to inquire more deeply. My own personal views are, of course, irrelevant to the deeper truth that he has his own motives, and they may be purer than mine.
I'll remember that.
So I have another task for you. Andronus and Rima are arguing. The recent negotiations with the Chalcedon and Pash broke down. The two have taken it hard. They are likely to come to blows if they cannot be reconciled. If one strikes the other, the laws of Mil Avest are clear. The attacker will be evicted. I don't know if the Sorrow is truly more active, but they come here choosing safety, and it is my wish that they have it. Please speak with them.
Don't mind if I do.
Aadiriis asked me to mediate your dispute. They react exactly like sullen children. Andronus folds his arms and turns away from you. Rima flushes and stares at her feet.
All right. Tell us what you need to know.
Okay, what exactly are you arguing about? The two watch each other warily for a moment, as if speaking first will somehow forfeit the argument. We mostly disagree on the amount of respect due to our sire. He arches a cold eyebrow at Rima, a silent question. She gives a reluctant nod. What's troubling you, Andronus? I just don't understand her. he says, flinging his hand in Rima's direction. Changing God abandoned us at birth, then bade us lie after lie when he chose to speak with us. She claims he has a master plan. I see a man who serves himself first and always. He doesn't care if we die. Even I care more if Rima dies than our sire does. And did you know that he sparked the whole war for my body? He got the first angry at me, then ditched this shell, leaving me to deal with the consequences. Good thing the first knows the difference between the face and the mind. But Rima, look, I know how she feels. The sorrow is hunting us all of us. It's nice to think that the changing God has a plan to protect us. It's just not true. I know. He glares at Rima, then looks back at you. There's a fine line between wishful thinking and suicidal idiocy, and she's dancing on it. She has to face the truth. We're on our own and this battle is going to get us all killed. Let's hear your side, Rima.
It's simple, brother. The endless battle is a test, and Andranos' side has been failing it for centuries. Our creator managed to annoy the first enough that she stormed off in a huff. He even did it in Andranos' body. You'd think that this big oaf of all people would understand what our sire was thinking.
She shakes her head, laughing.
The fact of the matter is, our father created this sanctuary for us to protect us from sorrow. But hiding isn't a strategy. Eventually we'll have to take the battle to it.
The gleam in her eyes is a banked fire.
And when the time comes, our father wants an army who will follow his orders without question. He allowed the first to spread her doubts, and the traitors among us have flocked to her side.
She tosses Andronis a scornful look.
Even so, I'm sure it hurt our father to discover so many of his children mistrusted him. Imagine how that feels, knowing that you'd have to kill some of your children to save the rest. And that's it. Simple, like I said. Andronis simply can't accept that his grand rebellion is all part of our father's plan. Can't accept that we owe our existence and ongoing survival to him.
He sneers at Andronis.
If you hate his sanctuary so much, why not leave?
Okay, before I make any decisions, what sort of solution would satisfy you both? Neither of them speak for a moment. Their faces are identical sculptures of surprise. I don't know. Nothing you could say would make us take each other's side. And with apologies to Aadiriis, I don't want to get along with Rima. I've hated her for too long. No offense.
Her lip quirks. Honesty doesn't offend me. And we need a decision. You can't please both of us. Our points of view aren't ever going to line up.
Okay. Andronis and Rima go still and stoic, showing no sign of the emotion they displayed before. In this moment they look very much alike, like family. Aadiriis wanted for me to give both of them sanctuary, if at all possible, so I don't want to exile both of them. And I can't take either one's side because that's a solution that doesn't respect the other side at all. Do you really want to break the truce to kill each other over a point of view? Well, yes, that's why they're fighting. Can't you put a stop to this? We're family after all. I'm trying to like a family. I'm using that as a hint to choose my option.
Yes, Andronis, we are family, and some of us have betrayed that sacred bond. You must feel awful.
Enough. I can't spill your blood in here, but I can damn well cut you down in outside, Neil Aves. Let's go.
Gladly.
Have you two forgotten that the sorrow is out there? They pause. The rage drains from their faces in slow degrees. Good point. Do you have any other suggestions then? Something other than reminding me that I am related to this zealot? Uh, do you really want to break the truce to kill each other over a point of view?
I'll remember that.
Antronus opens his mouth, shuts it thoughtfully, finally he speaks. You're right. We're safe here, but the sorrow is circling. The rumors are true. I don't want to do its work.
Alright, just let's talk about something else, Andronis. Can we do that?
Okay,
Alright.
I'd consider that a success. At least that's what probably would please Aadiriis. I managed to persuade them to their senses. They've agreed to a temporary peace. She claps her hands softly.
Well done. Well done indeed. To be free to choose is a part of life in Milaves. We must own our choices just as we own our responsibilities for the outcomes of those choices.
I'll remember that.
Before I can allow you to alter the course of a brother's life, I would hear your opinion on something which touches the lives of all our kind. You have no doubt heard of the endless battle. But what do you know about it? Why do they fight, and who is right? If perchance you have heard only a little about the conflict, you may wish to speak with our brethren before answering.
Okay. Oh, let's see what our options are. Got a lot of options already. Verical, Talana. Okay, ooh, we actually have to give up opinion now. Like any war, each side is trying to achieve its goal through force. Yeah, that's true, but it's also you're not saying anything. It's such an obvious point. It's war, senseless violence caused by pride. Not necessarily. That seems very limited in a view. Frankly, it's none of my business. Yeah, that's not an option. She asked for my view. The point is to protect the changing god against the attack of the curse. No, no. Killing each other is a deeply rooted instinct. It's human. Yeah, no, no, no. Most people never kill anyone. There is no point, it's a waste. No. No, no, no. You might say you don't think it's worth it, the reasons people fight, but that doesn't make it pointless. It's wasteful, sure, but not pointless. Remember Thalana and her men. The only person it serves is to ruin the lives of those it touches. Very Kale. The endless battle makes us stronger through conflict. Profitable, that's why it continues. That's not much of an answer. Okay, let's see. These are all sort of terrible, but let's start with the obvious non-answer. Like any war, each side is trying to achieve its goal through force. I don't even actually know what the goals are. Not really.
Yes, but what are those goals? And why are they so important that neither side has conceded defeat in all these years? I have no fucking clue. I've tried to ask, but no one gives me answers, and I can't press anyone on those answers. I'm like some kind of buffoon that if someone jingles the keys on the side, I immediately get distracted, and I can't try to go after anything. It's not like you can even do that. It would require a massive amount of dialogue to be written. The point is, it's hard to give some kind of insightful answer on the war when everyone refuses to tell me anything about the war or the people really involved in it. It's just some kind of vague war that keeps going for no particular reason. So, a single shitty news coverage of a modern war gives more information than I've been able to glean about the endless war so far. So, yeah, it's hard to be in any way insightful about this. Yeah, it's not my war. I can't know the goals of the people involved. She nods. There is merit by standing by one's opinion. Only by be certain that in doing so, you do not shut your ears to the opinions of others.
He clasps her hands together.
So, why do you think I have asked you this? No, let us start from the first task. Why would I tell you to talk to Melmoth when he ridicules my beliefs?
You wanted to expose me to other viewpoints.
Precisely. When we have incomplete information and are exposed to alternate, opposite viewpoints, how do we judge which is true? We must reach a conclusion at some point, but unless those conclusions are backed by incontrovertible evidence, you must never imagine that you have the sole grasp of the truth. And what do you imagine I intended when I asked you to intervene with Rima and Andronis?
Learn how to make a decision and stick with it. No. Resolve a dispute with regard to both parties' feelings and motivations. Yes.
That is exactly so. My intention for you in this task was to have you change the lives of your siblings for the better, while they still control their own bodies, to offer them alternatives and see if you can provide them a route through their troubles that maintains their core goals. Then we come to the question of the endless battle. What purpose did that discussion serve?
Challenging my beliefs with alternative viewpoints, perhaps?
Correct, and astutely judged. The goal in all of this was to make you question your assumption, to see things through others' eyes. It may be that nothing of importance happens in Zerian's Mere. You might enter, speak to Mazzof and leave without altering him a bit, but even if so, there will be other Meres. What if the next one is Melmoth's or Rima's or even mine? Whose assumptions will you take with you into that life? Whose goals will you accomplish and at what cost? You have the power to change the course of a life, of many lives, without their permission or even their knowledge. You will have to weigh their desires against your own, deciding whether the needs of your life are more important than theirs. You will have to know, with the utmost certainty and integrity, what does one life matter.
Depends on the life, I guess. I need to answer this. One life doesn't matter, except insofar as it serves the greater whole. No. No one really thinks that. Not really. The greater picture has to be taken into account. That doesn't mean it's the only thing that matters. Each life is important. Every person carries a world of potential. Each life should benefit others. No, not necessarily. Each life should benefit others is not what I would agree with. It would be nice and positive, but it's not in any way any kind of a requirement. One life doesn't matter. It's an infinitesimal spark against the timeline of cosmos. No. No, no, no. This is a viewpoint but not that no one can actually take, and no one can see the timeline of the cosmos. I have no fucking clue. This is something that you can sort of vaguely grasp in scale, but not really. Not in any sensible form. It's the scale is so vast that your brain simply cannot understand it. You might even be able to put it into some kind of a number, but it becomes so great that you cannot grasp it. You can just grasp that it's really, really big, the difference. It matters only as much as we let it matter. We make our own meaning and our own truths. No, to some extent yes, but not truly. Not absolutely freely. Life matters only if you experience it. If you let it wither and stagnate, it doesn't matter at all. No. This is a valid viewpoint for someone to have about his own life. It's not some kind of a truth about how life matters. What is life but the memories we leave behind? You're not dead until you're forgotten. What matters is money, power, and fame. No. It matters, but it's not the only thing that matters. One life can find new knowledge, making new discoveries, passing along knowledge, making humanity greater. That's the purpose of life. No, it's not. It's a life's goal, certainly, but again, an optional goal. That seems to be what most of these are. Like, choose the tight color that you want to gain here. That's it. If you're talking about legacy, who cares? What matters is that you built something and use your life constructively. No, you can just waste it away too if you want. No need to use it constructively. What matters is continuity of life. Having children, creating more life, passing along experience. No. But in a lot of ways, yes. You can sort of think about it like this. Take any kind of other value. Let's say living a good life or a just life. It doesn't matter what it particularly is. But if you sort of compare it, what if you live that life, but it means the end of all life? How much does it really matter at that point? I would be willing to bet that a lot of people would be willing to bend on that requirement, the good life, the just life, in order to secure the continuity of life. So in some ways, the continuity of life is one of the most important, if not the most important things. The thing is, I'm not sure if it matters on an individual level. What does one life matter? Because usually it's not a matter of that you get to have children, your sort of way of life continues necessarily. It's that there are people who continue having children and creating more life, and sort of the, I suppose, way of life that you more or less belong to keeps continuing. So not every life matters in the same way. You wouldn't sacrifice all your lives in exchange for preserving the life of some kind of a life you find absolutely abhorrent, or a way of life you find abhorrent. So there has to be some kind of a connection to the way you live. Here's how I feel about most of these. There again, I think mostly it's not quite solid, okay answers. However, they're again very limited. So I can't help that think that I'm basically choosing a tide color and not a proper answer to this question. What does one life matter? I don't think the answer matters. It's the important that is your answer. I'll say continuity of life. I can't imagine me ever choosing an option where life couldn't continue onward. Even if the consequence would otherwise be somehow, to some extent abhorrent, I would still choose the continuity of life. The ghost of a sad smile flits across Aadiriis' mouth.
Ironic that we are infertile then. Does that make our lives pointless? Can we transmit our experience in another way to make our lives mean something? Is our sire's example one we should follow? Think about your answer. Give it consideration. I cannot tell you if you are right or wrong. I simply don't know.
Yeah, here exactly comes the problem with that answer that I alluded to. It's not a individual. It's not a good answer from an individual perspective. Still, I don't care. We need to move forward.
Making a note.
I had to choose something. From within her robes, she produces a small, clean box. A stylized version of the changing god's sigil is emblazoned across the top of it.
This is the mere caster of a cast-off named Zerion. One brother looked into it once and reported seeing Zerion in the fields of Ossipagan and later speaking with Mazzof. I highly recommend you take care of any unfinished business before you enter the mere. You can change the past after all. Anything might happen. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, this seems like a very big deal, so I think I'll end things here. I don't know if I can wrap this quickly, let alone what's going to happen as a consequence, so I'd like to start from fresh. I'll return when I'm ready. We have full life, high enough pools, we've upgraded equipment, so I don't see any reason why I can't proceed. I have a feeling something dramatic is going to happen now. Not quite sure what it is. I would guess that the sorrow is involved, because everyone's been complaining about me weakening the defenses of this place. And the defensive system, and yeah. All the puzzle pieces are in place, although I don't see how the Mirror caster necessarily is tied to that.